Finally, my new microphone arrived. The recording can continue. Hello, welcome back to this lesson for the shoulders. We will do both sides, left and right shoulder, but is it only for the shoulders, or does this lesson hold a lot more than just the relaxation of the shoulders? I invite you to join this exploration, this journey into yourself. I invite you to guide you, and we will start. We need to pick a side. We will start by lying down on the left side. So please come to lie down on your left side. Use a pillow for your head if you need to. Lie down comfortably with your legs together. Maybe have a pillow in between your knees so that your knees don't press hard against each other. Just make yourself comfortable. And stand your right hand in front of your chest. So how do you stand the hand? You let go of your arm, let go of your hand, and just place it and stand it on the knuckles, on the back side. Stand your right hand on your left arm. Where is a good position? Where do you need to point the fingers? So that you can let go of your right arm. Just as you let go of your head, when you rest your head, you lift your head and lower your head, lift your head and lower your head, lift your hand, lower your hand until you have the feeling, okay, I'm lying down. I'm resting on my left side. And let's just go a bit deeper here. So you're resting on your left side and observe, just look at it. Don't change it, but look at your breathing. There I go, by example. Don't breathe in more than usually. Just observe your breathing and become aware of when you breathe in and when you breathe out. And when you breathe in, naturally, logically, more air comes into your chest. Air comes inside your chest, expanding your chest. So feel this expansion of your chest. When you breathe in, the chest starts to press more against the floor, doesn't it? And when you breathe in, the chest expands towards the ceiling and forwards and backwards. This balloon that is your chest, when you breathe out, it becomes smaller again. In it. And then observe what? Observe your right shoulder. Bring your attention to your right shoulder. So what is your right shoulder? The shoulder tip, the shoulder blade, a bit of the upper arm maybe, still counts as shoulder. And maybe you can feel when you breathe in that the shoulder is moved a little bit by your chest, like pushed into a direction, and when you breathe out, the shoulder returns to where it was. If you don't hold your shoulder, if you really let go of your shoulder, maybe you can feel when you breathe in that your shoulder is moved. The shoulder is moved, which is a passive grammar point, construction. It is moved. It doesn't move by itself, it is moved by your breath. And which direction is it? Maybe it's upwards, isn't it? Maybe your shoulder, when you breathe in, comes closer to your right ear. So the tip of your right shoulder comes closer to your right ear. So try to make this movement deliberately. Draw the tip of your right shoulder closer to your right ear. And then let go again. And when you let go, what does happen? When you pull your right shoulder closer to your right ear, and when you let go, where does it go? So do this a couple of times slowly. Delicately, yes, like handling yourself with care, with great attention and Zuneigung. Wie sagt man Zuneigung auf Englisch? You care for your shoulder. You care for yourself. affection, with great affection for your shoulder. And you can move your right shoulder together with your breath or independently from your breath. So try that a couple of times to draw your shoulder up and let it go again. Draw it, the tip of your right shoulder upwards towards your right ear and let go again. And see if you can make this a really small movement. And then you have the other direction, which is downwards, to draw the tip of your right shoulder, or maybe you can think of your elbow, to draw the elbow towards your feet, downwards where your feet are, to draw your shoulder downwards to where your feet are, and then let go again. So we have two directions, downwards and upwards. And maybe you already feel the pressure on your right hand, how your right hand is standing, because the right hand has to hold your arm, because the weight of your arm is standing on your hand. So maybe let's take a short break and rest your right arm. So without rolling, we stay on the left side. So maybe just place your right arm on your right side, just briefly to rest your hand, to rest your arm. See if you can balance your arm on your right side. Yes, it's an act of balance, a balancing act, so that you can have the feeling you rest your right arm on your right side. And then we continue. Stand your hand in front of your chest again. And so we had the shoulder up and down, upwards and downwards, towards the right shoulder towards your right ear and away from your right ear. And now let's look for a line that is perpendicular to this one, forwards. Let's try to find the direction forwards. How do you have to move your right shoulder so your right shoulder can come forwards? Yes? So try this a couple of times, the right shoulder forwards. And when you let go, so do you have to bring your right shoulder backwards, or does it slide backwards, jump backwards? Like when you push your right shoulder forwards, and then when you let go, how far does it return? Where does it return to? And while you're doing this, relax to the floor, of course, but also observe your head. So maybe your head can roll and your chest can roll forwards. So when you bring your right shoulder forwards, you roll forwards. So you can feel the left side of your chest rolling. If you can feel the pressure of your left side changing, and your brain can translate that into, that's rolling. So first the pressure is more in the middle or on the exact left side of your chest, and then it's more on the front side of your chest. So the chest must be rolling, isn't it? The same for the face. So maybe the pressure is on the cheek, and then the pressure is also on the nose. So this must be, the head must be rolling. Or how do we know, assess what is the feedback we get from our body? How do we perceive and sense that we are rolling? Rolling forwards and back to the side. And also your right hand, of course, when you roll forwards, when you bring your right shoulder forwards, you can feel more pressure on your right hand, don't you? And then also try the other direction backwards. So when you draw your right shoulder backwards, and you roll your head, so the head faces a little bit more towards the ceiling. So you roll backwards, and forwards. And this is our second line, forwards and backwards. And how do you align the moving of your shoulder forwards and backwards, and rolling of the head and rolling of the chest? And maybe you can feel your pelvis is also rolling, yes? And maybe your knees are shifting, sliding against each other, on top of each other. Or not, you can prevent it, you can hold your pelvis. Don't allow your pelvis to roll while you roll your shoulders. Or allow it. It's so much easier. Or you roll forwards and then you also only roll your head a little bit. Or only move your shoulders. And I want you to study this, to explore this, to be at ease on your left side, resting, and you roll a little bit forwards, but maybe you roll your shoulder more, or your chest more, or your head more, or you roll everything together, or you let your head just rest and your head be dragged along. So you're dragging your head, or you're pushing. Are you dragging or are you pushing? Pulling and pushing. So one thing is to move, and the other thing is to sense your movements, just as important. And what kind of movement games you can come up with, your creativity to don't roll the head, or to roll the head, or to feel the push of your right hand, to push with your right hand, or maybe to pull with your right leg, or to push with your left leg, just to roll a little bit forwards and backwards. But our starting point was the right shoulder, so move the right shoulder forwards and backwards. Or the right shoulder upwards and downwards. Try that again. So you have a clear image of the right shoulder upwards and downwards. So that's one line. And forwards and backwards, that's another line. A movement of the shoulder. And is it a movement of the shoulder alone? Or are you as a whole person, is everything moving? Maybe you can do the movement so small that it's only the shoulder that's moving. You can feel the shoulders sliding. Did you start to have an internal image, an idea of how your shoulder looks like, how your chest looks like? An internal visualization of yourself. Then let's change the position of the arm again. So bring your right arm to rest on your right side. So balance your extended right arm on your right side. And this time we don't do this to rest, but to explore how is it in this position. When you draw your shoulder upwards towards your right ear, or push your right shoulder downwards away from your right ear. Can you move your right shoulder and still relax your arm, have your arm resting? Can you let go of your face? Let go of your face, just rest your face, rest your eyes, your eyelids, your jaw, your tongue, your cheeks, the muscles in your cheeks, the muscle around your ears. Can you relax your face and still move your right shoulder up and down, or forwards and backwards? And can you move so delicately that it's only the right shoulder? Or is this effort? Do you have to hold yourself? And if you don't hold yourself, you start to roll forwards and backwards if you move your right shoulder forwards and backwards. So if you have that feeling you want to roll, then just roll. Let everything roll when you move your shoulder forwards and backwards. And then start to make the movement of your shoulder smaller and smaller and smaller, tiny, minuscule, minute. And at what point is it only a movement of the shoulder and not a rolling anymore? Or pulling the shoulder up and down. Or if you're inclined to do so, you can do circles. You can combine the endpoints of the lines forwards, upwards, backwards, downwards, and make circles or draw curves. Up to you. Just don't, always be aware of what you're doing. So if you say to yourself, okay, now it's forwards and backwards, okay, or now it's circles, okay, or now I have discovered something I want to see, that's a curve. It's always know what you're doing. Always combine your sensations with your, we combine moving, thinking, sensing, and feeling, how of course that makes us feel at peace. Yes, so we combine these different aspects of ourselves. We don't exclude sensing, or we don't exclude thinking. We put everything together. And then let's try a last position. Please slide your right hand behind you on your back. Yes, and have your hand standing, maybe on your knuckles or on the wrist, somewhere on the, now my hand is hidden, but stand your, and you cannot see, you can't see your own hand either, can you? So where is your right hand? The right hand is at your back. And find a position that's somehow comfortable. A position where you have the feeling, okay, here, when I put it like this, I can kind of rest without the arm starting to hurt. Yes? Okay, and then we have two lines, up and down, and the other line is forwards and backwards. And with your hand standing behind you instead of in front of you, so your hand is standing, your right hand is standing behind you, find these lines, up and down, and forwards and backwards. And see, can you let go of your face? Can you let go of your pelvis, of your legs? How do you breathe? How do you roll? Do you roll together with your shoulder? Or does your shoulder move alone? Or do you prefer to roll forwards and then just move the shoulder backwards? Do you prefer to make circles, clockwise circles and counterclockwise circles? Commit yourself, to the movements, to the exploration of these movements. Commit yourself to the floor, yes. The floor is, you're carried by the floor. You can roll on the floor, you can lean against the floor, you can give yourself up to the floor. Maybe for one last time, bring your shoulder on your side, or bring your right hand in front of you and see how your right hand how you park your right arm in front of you. How you rest now, how is it? Or bring your right hand behind you again, behind you, and feel the right arm so heavy, and let yourself go, let the right shoulder go further back and back until the right arm pulls you over. The right arm initiates a fall. You're falling from your left side onto your back until you're on your back. So fall onto your back and take a rest on your back and feel how is your right side compared to your left one. How is the right side of your face? Is there a difference to the left side of your face? The right shoulder, is it bigger, warmer? Maybe your right leg feels different than your left one. Okay, and then please come to lie on your right side. We will work with the left shoulder. So now you're on your right side and stand your left hand in front of your chest somewhere. Where is a good location for your left hand? And again, rest your head. Have your knees bent like before, the legs on top of each other. Legs on top of each other. The left leg on top of the right leg. And bring your attention to your breathing. How is it here to breathe? When you breathe in, how is your breathing now already different to how it was in the beginning of the lesson, when we started out on the other side? How do you feel? And how do you sense your breathing? And your left shoulder on top of your chest, and start to find a movement of your left shoulder. Try to find a way to move your left shoulder. And what is your first move? If you look for a movement of your shoulder, is the first move up and down, or is the first move forwards and backwards? So that would be an interesting survey. Let's do a survey later. So was it up or down, your first move of your left shoulder, or forwards and backwards? Then let's move systematically together. Bring your attention to your left shoulder tip, top of your left shoulder, and draw your left shoulder closer towards your left ear, or even your left elbow closer to your left ear, as if the left shoulder would meet your left ear. Yes? And let go again. Maybe you even want to lift your head a little bit towards your left ear. But then just move your shoulder, or move the shoulder, so the other direction, downwards. Move your left shoulder downwards, away from your left ear and towards your feet, your pelvis, or think of your left elbow towards your feet. And let go again. And when you let go, feel how the shoulder, your arm, is falling back to its resting position. But maybe the resting position is always different. Maybe it's when you draw your shoulder upwards towards your left ear, the resting position, the home position, is a different position than when you draw your shoulder downwards. Isn't that interesting? That it doesn't return to the exact, I mean, that's my observation. Maybe it's different for you, but I might guess it's the same for you, that the resting position depends on what was your last movement, or is influenced by your last movement. Because the tissue, yes, the connective tissue in your shoulder is still pulled towards your last movement, still organized towards your last movement. Like a sort of, maybe what they call memory. Okay, then forwards and backwards. So move your left shoulder forwards and see if you can slide your left shoulder over your chest. Or if you need, or if it just happens, if you roll your head, your nose towards the floor, if you roll more onto your left hand, if your left knee slides forward, what happens when you bring what does happen when you move your left shoulder forwards? And what's the workings when you pull your left shoulder backward? Forward and backward. So forward seems to work well when the left hand is in front of you, but backwards, and then we can have circles or combine the end points. And when you make circles with your left shoulder, when you draw circles, see, maybe you also roll, maybe your chest rolls, maybe your head rolls, maybe your pelvis rolls. But how much? And what is leading? And how well? Let's try this with a different arm position. Like before, place your left arm on top of your left side. So it's an act of balancing, a way of finding a good placement so you can really let go of your left arm and just rest your left arm on top of your left side. How do you feel that? How much tension you have in your left hand, arm, shoulder? Do you have to hold your left arm so it does not fall? Or can you completely let go of it? And when you found that balancing position, so that's a skill to be able to find the equilibrioception, the balance, feeling for balance when your arm is falling backwards or falling forwards, how much tension you have in your arm. So that's something we improve or work on in this kind of lesson, the ability to sense. And then start to see what is the first movement of your shoulder, of your left shoulder. Is it up and down or forwards and backwards? What comes most naturally to you? Can you do tiny little circles with your left shoulder? Can you do circles forwards? Can you do circles backwards? And when you move your left shoulder, do you have to tension up your jaw, your face, or can you still let go? Can you still rest your left arm when you move your left shoulder? How much can you move your left shoulder without your left arm falling down, either forwards or backwards? Yes, so we come to rest more and more and let go of tension. Strangely, there was tension, wasn't there? But now with this act of balancing your arm and moving, you start to discover tension you actually don't need. And the movements become more and more refined. You feel yourself better and better. Okay, then place your left hand behind you. Allow your left hand to stand on the floor behind you. And if you do this lesson a couple of times, you might have a sense of how this position for your left hand is improving with every time you do it or you practice. And then also, let's have our intention on the movement of the left shoulder. So what's your first movement? Is it up and down or forwards and backwards, or did you choose some sort of a diagonal? Which line did you choose, or which direction did you choose, or which direction came to you naturally? It's the better term. Which movement came to you? Have you been visited of what movement? Which movement passed by your shoulder, took hold of your shoulder first? Was it up or down or forwards and backwards? Which movements, which directions are available in this arm position more than others? How about the rolling of your chest, the sliding of your shoulder blade, circles or curves? And always there's an opportunity to stop and feel, here I can let go something, or there I have been holding myself. My God, why did I hold myself there so much? You can just let go. So through movement we can discover things. Things about ourselves. Okay, and then bring your left arm onto the floor in front of you again. See where you stand, your left hand now. So how did that change? How did your resting position change? How did your perception of your breathing change? And is there still a movement you want to do, or do you just want to rest and to enjoy that feeling you have now? Maybe you feel quite calm and peaceful, at peace. Now with your left hand standing in front of you again, try again the lines of your shoulder, left shoulder up and down, forwards, backwards, or circles. And see how it is now at the end of the lesson, how the movements affect you now. When you roll forwards and backwards, or you swing yourself forwards and backwards like a wiggle, like a spring mechanism, forwards and backwards. So you can do small little rolls forwards and backwards, push with your hand or push with your right leg, just to roll a little bit forwards and backwards, or just to move your shoulder forwards and backwards, like a little spring, or a leaf, when the wind is playing with a leaf, or up and down. And then bring your left hand behind you and allow your left shoulder to turn you over onto your back side to take a last rest on your back. And feel how it is now to be on your back. How is your breathing? Are the shoulders evened out? How do you perceive yourself? What is your image of yourself? The image of you resting on the floor. All right, and before we fall asleep, I mean, you can take a rest if you like to, of course, of course. How do you feel now? Should we get up? Or should we take a rest? In any case, it was my pleasure to present you this lesson, to do both sides of the lines and circles with the shoulders. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.